The countdown is on before we pick up our new Mustang. We have a few projects to finish first, but before that, we need to fill you in on Mesa and her healing, or lack thereof. When we got back from our overnight trip to look at Mustangs, we found Mesa limping. I had a bad feeling about it, so we hauled her in. The vet tested her and suspected either an abscess or a deep bruise. She had been in her own pen while we were gone, and our best guess is that she either slipped on the ice and jammed her foot into a panel, or was bucking around and caught a panel with her heel. I started treating her for an abscess, but after a week I noticed deep bruising in her heels and switched to treating it as a deep bruise instead. Given the time frame and the fact that she hasn't healed completely, I started to suspect something more serious. Possibly a fracture or a broken bone in her foot. With growing concern, I called the vet and scheduled radiographs to find out why she's still so lame. It's Thursday morning and I have a few things to do before we leave to pick up our Mustang. The earliest the vet could get Mesa in is Friday at 4, so I'm keeping myself busy to avoid worrying too much about her poor little gimpy self. In the meantime, I'm keeping her foot wrapped with a poultice to keep it dry and clean. The vet wrap and duct tape boots seem to make her more comfortable, which only adds to my suspicion of a fracture. When her hoof capsule is supported, she seems sounder. We'll know for sure on Friday.
Hey bobbers, what you doing?
Alright, well, we are in countdown mode of going out and getting our Mustang. So we only have about 5 or 6 days, I think. I guess 7 before we'll be there. We're going to spend all of the 27th looking them all over, and then the 28th make our final decision and load them up and head home. So I have quite a few things to get done before then. I need to button up the rest of the Mustang pen. I worked on it a little bit yesterday. And I also need to clean up some stuff so we can bring the trailer in here and back over to the Mustang pen. But one of the main things we want to get done in the meantime is finishing up our tack room, well, organizing our tack room. We would like to redo the ceiling in there and the roof, but that's going to wait till spring. Right now, we're going to get started on this tack room. I'll show you what we're working with. It is a mess. So, here is the tack room. / messy room. I'm going to take all this stuff out, starting with that. And we got some saddle stands from Murdoch's. We're going to put those up and probably rearrange these shelves because they're not in a great location. And yeah, we get this thing organized. Most of our saddles in our pack saddle are in our horse trailer right now, and they'll just stay in there for now, but would be nice to get it a little better organized. Put a little music on. Go with little Dave Stamey. Okay, start taking down shelving now. Got everything out. Got it swept out. It's dusty in there. We don't have a whole lot of hantavirus around Idaho, but still, don't want it. Oh yeah, yeah. It's starting to get muddy around here. Everything's starting to melt off. It's nice and warm out, but things are about to get muddy. Oh guys, I'm sorry. kind of decide how I want to arrange this now. You guys are crazy. Look at these two.
What are you doing, Bob? Oh, buddy, you're funny. Is that your friend, your little friend?
This old saddle came with my very first horse when I was 9. It did not fit him at all, and as you can see, the fender has now broken over the years and stuff. I ended up getting him another saddle that fit him better, and he was a much happier horse, but this came with him. And so even though it's a really cruddy old ripped up saddle, I just can't make myself get rid of it. It's in remembrance of him, so it just takes up space in our tack room for only sentimental reasons. Got everything put back in. It's much more organized and clean. Got this little caddy to organize stuff so we could take that shelf out. Right, buddy? Do you like it? It's so clean? Yeah, good dogs. What have you guys been up to? Causing trouble? Probably. Good puppies. Alright, well, I got the tack room all kind of cleaned up, and I'm going to go ahead and I think work on the Mustang corral just a tiny little bit. It's almost feed time, but not quite, so I'll come back and feed these guys here in just a little bit. This Mesa is walking pretty good today. Actually made her an appointment to go in for x-rays tomorrow. And now she's walking a lot better today, of course. You can see she's still gimpy, huh, baby? So we're gonna take her in just to double check she doesn't have a fracture. Yes, we want to make sure. Poor girl. Everything's getting muddy too. Alright, so my plan is I'm going to add a little bit more of a visual barrier to these panels. It's not going to make them taller as far as like strength wise, but it should just help for the Mustang to not think about trying to jump over. I hope instead they're kind of thinking of going like under the panels, which they won't be able to because I'm going to put in a few T-posts on the outside of the panels so that the horse can't push them. I've had cows in the past that would like get their head underneath and then lift and get out under the panels that way. I don't know if horses like Mustangs are apt to do that, but that way it just can't. So what I'm going to do is, because this is only going to be holding up just some really thin, basically like landscape fabric, I'm just going to zip tie these little 1x2s to the panels, like so. And then I'm gonna staple the landscape fabric over the top. So I don't know if you can see, but put them like that, staple the landscape fabric up, and that should make it for a pretty solid looking corral. So these are 6 feet tall. I'm just tall. So they do meet BLM requirements, but this is more for my added security, I guess, just in case. But better safe than sorry. We also have this corral inside of our buck and rail fence, so that'll be good. Alright, well I got all the little boards up, so that'll give me something to staple the landscape fabric to. And again, this is just a visual barrier. Like, obviously, if the Mustang really tries to jump over the landscape fabric, which I don't think it should do, but if it did, probably the zip ties would break or the landscape fabric would rip. We still have 6-foot panels at that point, but this is going to be just more visual than anything. And I did leave a gap over here, and that is for, there's going to be a windbreak. There's going to be boards up over there, so I need to put those up still. Well, unfortunately I didn't have enough to finish what I wanted. I was going to do about 20 feet over on this side and another 4 feet over here, and not going to quite make it, so I'll have to run to our feed store. I need to pick up another water tank for the Mustang anyway, but we might have to run to the feed store and see if they have anything landscape fabric or even netting. I think that should add enough visual barrier. I mean, that's like 8 feet tall. 7 feet maybe. So it should look pretty solid to a first. So I'll set these boards up now and alright, we're back out here. It's the next morning. Well, I guess afternoon. It's about 1:30. I gotta haul Mesa in to the vet here at 4 o'clock. So we're gonna get some x-rays done just because she's still limping. So we just want to make sure there's no fractures or anything. So we're gonna haul her in. But in the meantime, I stopped by our feed store and got some more landscape fabric so I can finish this up. So finish putting the boards up, and hopefully finish putting up the landscape fabric before I need to try to get her loaded and haul her into the vet. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see. Basically done with her Mustang pen, so that's pretty exciting. Got our boards up, got our landscape fabric up, and I think I'm gonna call it good. So, pretty awesome. Alright, we got a little gimpy Mesa here. I'm gonna brush her off real quick before we take her to the vet. She just pulled her boot off about an hour ago. So, her foot's kind of dirty. I'm gonna clean it up, but she's still gimping, so we're gonna go get some x-rays done. Just make sure there's no fracture in there. It's so beautiful. I feel like right now she's buried full weight on that foot. Makes you feel like if it is fractured, it's not super painful one. Definitely favoring it still, but I'm hoping it's just a really deep bruise and it just hasn't worked all of it out yet, but we're gonna find out. Well, that was too easy. It's only about 3:15, so we don't need to leave for like another 10 to 15 minutes, and I'll probably still be early, so I guess she'll just stand in there. We'll just be early. It'll be fine. Maybe he can see us a little early, but she did really good. I'm proud of her. Alright, well, the rest of this video, well, at least at the vet, is gonna have to be on my phone, because I'm not gonna bring the big camera along with me. That'd be a little awkward. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna be able to film at the vet's office because Jason's working, so I'm just flying solo and I'll be holding Mesa for the vet probably. I'll try to film what I can, but I'm not sure how much I'll be able to film. But I'll definitely fill you guys in on what we find out about her little foot. So you guys probably know that Mesa came up lane. We went to look at those Mustangs and we got home. She was limping. She'd been in the pen by herself. And anyway, what we figure is she probably kicked a panel running and bucking around, or she slid into a panel running around and it's icy out, and she could have slid, fell down even, and slid her heel into a panel. So we took her to the vet already, and he used calipers on her and figured it was probably isolated in her heel. I took her in because I was suspicious, just like, I don't know, I usually don't take horses in excuse me, I usually don't take horses in for abscesses or things like that. But I just had a weird feeling about this one, and so the vet opted to not do x-rays, which I understand, because it's like, if it's just a bruised heel, why would you waste our money on x-rays when they're not really needed? But she was starting to get almost normal again, and then Tuesday she started limping, and I called the vet on Wednesday, and he's like, yeah, why don't you bring her back in and we'll go ahead and do some x-rays. So anyway, so we're gonna do x-rays today and just make sure she didn't fracture something in her hoof. And yesterday, and I guess the day before that, she actually started seeming more sound again. Today she's pretty sore, so it's kind of intermittent, and I just want to make sure that it's not a fracture, and if it is, obviously that we're treating it correctly, not treating it like a bruise. And if it's a bruise, then that's great, that's awesome, that it'll just take its time to heal. We'll probably be able to put her on a little bit of pain meds and some anti-inflammatories after today's visit, and we'll just keep on doing what we're doing. I think everything's stalling out now, so I think I'm gonna throw some stall mats down and make her pen smaller, and basically make a stall for an outdoor stall. But and then we can bed it really deep with a bunch of shavings, and that way she can stay much drier. Her foot can stay drier, so that should help as well. So when I get home, regardless of what it is, we need to take down her pen to drop the Mustang off in its pen anyway, because we got to drive through where her pen is. So either way, take her pen down and make her a smaller pen. But we'll see what the vet says. On our way now. Our vet took 2 images and didn't find anything, so he took a third just to make sure there wasn't a fracture. I could hear them talking in the back room that they had found something, and my heart instantly sank. It looks like the third image did in fact show a hairline fracture in Mesa's foot. The fracture is in her coffin bone. You can see how those 2 little tabs are spread further apart than they should be. This is a fairly common injury for foals, and it sounds like with her being so young that she should be able to make a 100% full recovery. The vet does need to cast her hoof, however. Keeping that hoof capsule still is very important to allow those bones to stay stable and heal. He didn't have a glue-on shoe that was quite big enough for her. The full sizes don't go big enough with her big drafty feet, so we did have to sedate her in order to put the cast on. Alright, well, I'm pulling out of the vet's office. It's pretty muddy in parts of the parking lot, so you might be able to hear that mud getting slung around, but it was in fact a fracture. Thankfully, it's a very mild fracture, and she has a ton of growing left to do, so he's very confident that it'll heal 100%. He said probably it would heal 100% even without doing anything, but obviously we want to do something and ensure that we do everything we can. So he put a cast on there. There's specialty boots or shoes that they can glue on, and even the biggest size, which is like full size, was too small for her because she has big giant draft feet already. Draft, not giraffe. So anyway, he is going to specialty make her a shoe this weekend, and I will take her back in Monday or Tuesday and yeah, put that on. So anyway, and then she'll have a nice little corrective shoe on there that'll take pressure off and cast that hoof capsule, and so that way it's in her coffin bone, so her pedal bone, coffin bone. It has a small fracture. There's kind of little wings off the side, and one of those, it's not even a complete fracture, thankfully, but there is a hairline fracture in there. So yeah, the prognosis is very good that she will be rideable. We just have to keep her cast dry and keep her as still as possible, which is easier said than done because she's a crazy little girl. But it all went really well. Anyway, just heading back home now. I'm going to move some panels around and get her situated in a nice dry spot because some of her pen is getting muddy now that things are thawing out. So that will be what I do as soon as I get home. I'll just tie her up on her little blocker tie ring and then get her pen all situated for her, so that way her cast for sure stays dry. So that's the news I have. It sounds like it should heal. She should be fine. I do have to go pick up Jason from work in about an hour and a half, so I'd be a little bit crunched for time, but I think I can get a pen set up before I have to pick him up, so that'll be good. All right, well, I made it home. I am going to set Mesa up a little temporary pen just right over here. I've got to pick Jason up from work in an hour, so I've got to hurry. So I'm not going to film it, but I'll show you guys my little pen setup. I'm just going to leave Mesa in the trailer. She's being really good in there, so I'm going to get this set up super fast, get some shavings put in there so it's nice and dry, and then I'll have to work on digging those stall mats out and make her an actual nice dry area tomorrow. So this pen will have to work for tonight. They did sedate her, but we had to wait for that cast to set up, and so she has been awake for about an hour now. So I'm going to go ahead and let her eat. I'm going to grab a couple water buckets and bring her just some buckets of water for tonight, and then tomorrow morning my first thing will be to come out here and get her actual little like stall set up. So this is just temporary for right now. Yeah, then she should be good. It's nice and dry in here at least, and tomorrow I can figure out a better solution. So we're hopeful it was just a bruise and she could just go back in her pen that she'd been in, but it's a little big. We need her to not run around, and also with today's warm weather everything is turning to mud. So it's about to get real gross, and we need to make sure we keep her cast dry. Oh, girly. Had a big day today, huh, Mesa? Good girl. Glad you're on the mend now, though. Got it casted. We're on the mend.